So now we're going to go to these 7 areas that I believe can help you. And I took some poll questions. If you want to, you can look at 1 through 4. Do I never do this as I go through each question? Do I never do this with this question? Sometimes do this with this question. Most of the time do this with this question, or always do this with this question. So I'm going to give you the questions, and you can do 1 through 4. Never, sometimes, most of the time, or always. If you want to, it's up to you. So my first question is, do you create a safe environment for your children where they could share your feelings? I can tell you something so important right now, and that is a child that feels like their feelings are important will feel like they are important. Believe me when I tell you that. We want to instill in our children that what they say matters so that they feel they matter. Please believe me on that. It's very important. You don't have to agree with your children. Acknowledge it. Say, I hear you. I think differently, but you're entitled to your feelings. You don't have to agree. Let them know what they say matters to you. You know, my oldest son graduated high school, and he didn't know what to do in his life. People would tell him, go into the armed forces, go to college, do this, become an electrician, all of these things. And I sat him down one day, and I said to him, you know, it's got to be so hard to be your age at 18, and all of a sudden, people are telling you what to do for the rest of your life. Wow, that's pressure. He turned and said to me, Dad, wow, you understand how I feel. Yeah, I'm going crazy with everybody telling me what to do. Now, here's why I say this. I don't want you to say what a great guy I am. That's not why I'm saying this. I'm saying this because from that day on, he spoke to me about everything. He allowed me into his world. He allowed me to talk to him about every different option he had. And here's the kicker. He listened to what I said. He only listened because I listened to him. So number 1, create a safe place for your children where they could share your feelings. Very important. Let's go to 2. When your child struggles, stop and pause. Don't go in and fix them all the time. Think about what you wanted to hear from your parents at that age if you were struggling the same way. Maybe somebody broke their heart, your daughter or son. Maybe they failed a test that they studied so hard for. Maybe they missed a shot at the end of a basketball game or struck out or did something. When they're struggling, think about what you wanted to hear from your mom and dad at that age. My youngest son was the best pitcher on his team in Little League. And they had the playoff game, and he pitched bad. He couldn't get the ball over the plate, and they lost. His heart was broken. So I went to the dugout, and I said to myself, what does he need from his dad? Should I put on my therapist hat, ask him how he feels? Should I put on my pitching coach hat, help him with his follow-through? I got to the dugout. He looked at me, and he said, Dad, I need a hug. That's all he needed from his first hero, a hug. Not a pitching coach, not a therapist, a hug. And when he hugged me, I noticed all these other kids watching this spectacle, his teammates. I wondered how many of them wanted a hug from their first hero, their father or mother, when they struggled. So very important. So very important. There's time to teach our kids and direct our kids after that. But at that point, when they're hurting, a hug is the best medicine you can give them. And then go into certain things that they want to talk about. Number 2. That's number 2. Number 3, you're curious with your children. Do you know what sites, computer sites they go on? Do you know who their friends are, their friends' parents are? Do you know what the best part of their day is or the worst part of their day is? Do you know that? Talk to your children. Again, I'm going to give you a story in all these situations. My youngest kid, again, once came to me in 9th grade and said, you know, Dad, everybody's smoking pot or marijuana, whatever they call it today. It was illegal at the time. He says, and I'm curious about it. Maybe I should try it, whatever. I said, I hear you. Now, what I wanted to say is get in your room until you're 21 years old and I'll let you out. That's what I wanted to say. I said, what do you know about pot, marijuana? Let's go on the computer. Let's learn. And I said to him, a lot of people start with pot and end up with tougher drugs and ruin their life. So we went on the computer, we talked about it, but I said one thing to him. I said, the consequences you choose, nobody else. If you choose to do something that breaks the law, you choose to get arrested. It's your choice. Remember that. You're doing something illegal, you choose to break the law. What do we want to teach our children? We think we could control our children. Everybody listening to this, it ain't happening. They're going to get old and do what they want to do, not what you tell them to do. We want to create a child that chooses the right actions because they want to, not because they need to, not because somebody's pulling their arm. They want to. Long story short, and all stories don't end up as pleasant as this one with my kids, but he came to me a couple of weeks later and he said, I said to him, how you doing with the pot, with your friends? He said, you know, Dad, I don't hang out with those kids anymore. Bingo. I loved his response. Does it always happen that great? No. But he chose that. I didn't tell him not to hang out with the kids. He chose that. That's the key. So that's number 3. Be curious with your children. Number 4, do you monitor your inner critic? In my book, The Problem Was Me, I talk about a warden, this inner critic, always beating me down, never allowing me to celebrate my victories, always telling me what I did wrong. If you need help as a parent, if you're struggling, show your kids it's courageous to get help. It's courageous to go to places, 12 steps, therapists, whatever, to get help. That's courage, not weakness. Show that to your children. So if they struggle, they'll do the same thing. Show your children that when you're wrong, you have the humility to say, hey, I'm wrong. You're a human being. Show them that humility. Please, it's important. So number 4 is monitor your inner critic. And if you need help, show that you have the courage to get help. Number 5, choose your battles with your children. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, if all you want to do is always be right with your kids, good luck with that. I'm going to push them right away. They're going to solicit help from the wrong people, people that listen to them. You don't want that. You don't want them to go to the wrong people to solicit help. So number 5 is choose your battles. Let me go over this real quick. 1 is create a healthy environment with your children, where your children feel safe to share their feelings. 2 is when your child struggles, think about what you wanted to hear at that age, if you were struggling in the same way. 3 is be curious with your children. Best part of the day, worst part of the day. What's going on with them? 4 is monitor your inner critic. If you need help, have the courage to get help. 5 is choose your battles with your children. If you always want to be right, you're going to push them away. And they're going to solicit help and nurturing from the wrong people. A lot of wrong people out there. You don't want to go to them. So let's go to 6. When your child makes a mistake, okay, it's part of being human. I'm not saying to condone it, but let them know when they make a mistake. It doesn't mean they are a mistake. Everything I did in life early on, if I failed, I believe that was a failure. And that was the messages given to me from my mother, from my father, and from this fictitious character called the warden. Consequences for your choices. But if you make a mistake, it doesn't mean you are a mistake. We have to have that humanness in us, or we're going to shut down every time we make a mistake, get paralyzed, and not move forward. What was the opportunity you learned when you made a mistake? What did you learn from it? Another little story. I remember that one day when my son was younger, he was a bed wetter. Sorry, stuttering here. A bed wetter. And he'd come in the room and we'd have to change his sheets. And I got to tell you, I got frustrated and angry at times. I did. And then one day we went to dinner. And we went to dinner with my brothers, sister-in-laws, about 10 of us and I went to the bathroom. And a lot of you guys are going to know exactly where I'm coming from. Sometimes when a guy goes to the bathroom, he zips up a little bit too quick and he gets some stains on his pants. So I had this idea. I went back and sat near my son and I said, hey, look, even daddy wets his pants at times. In the beginning, it was a great idea. My son was cracking up. He thought this was hysterical. That part was phenomenal. What I didn't count on is he said to everybody at the table, look, my dad wet his pants. That wasn't the best part of the story. But it freed him from understanding that we can all make mistakes. Doesn't mean we are a mistake. So that's number 6. Number 7. Do you celebrate your child's victories? You know, my granddaughter comes in the room, I scream her name out loud. I want her to know I'm important. If she colors in the lines, I make a big deal of it. So our child's victories may not be what we think is a victory, but celebrate their victories. I grew up so perfectionistic that I always ran to the next dilemma. I never celebrated anything I did. And I did some nice things. Never celebrated it. I didn't know how to celebrate it. Teach your children how to celebrate their victories. Now, what I don't like is everybody at a Little League game gets a trophy. No, that's not the way to do it. We all have to learn to fail at times. Who do you know never failed at times? We have to learn how to fail at times. So we get up, wipe ourselves off, and move on. It's a part of learning failing. So everybody shouldn't get a trophy. But when we do something we're proud of, celebrate it. And I tell parents something else too. If you have 2 kids and one kid's gifted and could get A's or great in sports, don't compliment their victories that way. Because you might have another child that no matter how hard they try, they can't do well. They can't get A's in school or great in sports. I was always very good in sports, but I broke my back to get a B or C. It wasn't my thing. So instead, compliment the effort. I'm so proud that you try so hard in school. Every child can try hard, but every child can't get A's. So just be aware. You don't want sibling rivalry. Compliment the effort. I'm proud that you tried so hard. So those are the 7 little tips that I gave you. And again, you can go through this and say, I never do this. Sometimes I do this. Most of the time I do this, or I always do this. Just to look at some areas that you might want to evaluate and tweak a little bit.